Hello! Today we are joined by Mike Goldwater, Uber photojournalist, photographer, who's here and he's brought his latest book. And I just realised it's in two different formats. So we've got a soft cover and a hard cover. And tell me again, how much was this?
So the soft cover is £12.
£12. That seems absolutely absurd. Literally, right? One of my big things at the moment is making zines. And like, I'm seeing people literally sell like 8 pieces of paper folded in half, and they're trying to get like £12 for them. And this is like an amazingly printed, PUR bound, right? Yeah, PUR bound photo book. Absolutely nuts. I remember seeing that photo when you shared it as you're doing it. It's incredible. Mike, tell me about Ireland.
So my wife, we're in Thanet. We are in Ramsgate. Ramsgate's part of Thanet. So Thanet is a section of the eastern tip of Kent, and it was once an island separated from the mainland by the Wonsum River, the Wonsum Channel. And in Roman times, the Romans sailed their ships up to London without going round the coast by going straight through along the Wonsum Channel. My wife comes from Thanet, so I'm a Londoner actually. But
we don't mind you around here. We do call them DFLs around
that's
here.
That's right. I'm
a
DFL. Proud DFL. What can you do? Anyway, she comes from around here, and we have a place down here. And the more time you spend here, the more interesting it becomes. And having travelled over my career, I worked in 80 countries in different times. Getting under the skin of a place is actually what makes you have a sense that you've got some understanding of what makes it tick. And it's some ways easier to go somewhere completely unfamiliar, where everything is new and challenging in that way. But another way is to challenge yourself to see the new in the familiar.
Yeah.
And that was what I challenged myself to do in this project. So that was my plan. So I started doing it, and it's in a sense it's something you can carry. I mean, I started this 4 years ago. In a sense, it's like a piece of string. When do you stop? I mean, keep going, and I will carry on shooting actually. But for various reasons, I decided okay, that's enough. It's enough to make a book. So.
I mean, you say enough to make a book. Like, what is going on here? Look at this. What GSM is that, and what GSM is that? What's happening here? Is this a bumper edition?
Okay, but bumper. It's the same number of pictures.
Right.
But this is produced. I just wanted a dummy that actually looked good. So this is produced by Bob's Books.
Ah, got you.
So this is a lay flat.
Oh, that's why. It's the thickness of the paper. I've got you.
Is,
it's the C-type sandwich, isn't it? Is it the C-type sandwich?
It's a sandwich, but
yeah,
the prints are. It's a silver halide process.
Yeah.
So the pictures look as good as bromides.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted. So that was my master. So then, having generated the master, I think, well, okay, now, so what am I going to do? How am I going to get the book out? So one route is to go to a mainstream publisher.
Yeah.
And then do the crowdfunding thing, and it's 17k, and the book will come out £45.
And they'll give you 100 copies to sell.
They will. But and I thought, well, actually, locally,
yeah,
no one's going to buy it at £45, and so
no way.
I wanted it to be something that could be available locally.
Yeah.
So separately.
I mean, you're talking up the reproduction here. Oh yeah, I know all about that one. The reproduction, right? That's incredible.
Yes.
This is incredible.
So the reason. So it's not bad, is it? Not bad.
It's really good. It's really good, Mike.
So the question is, how did I get to this point?
How did you get to this point?
It's a long journey. So long and wearisome journey.
Fistful of books are somehow involved, right?
Somehow. So this is a zine. Mm-hmm. So I have some pictures in here in this copy. I did a story on maternity.
Yeah, amazing.
Because at Network Photographers, which is another story. We'll do that another time.
I know this work. It's so wild. It's so great. It's so great.
Thank you. So this was published in this zine, and I thought, actually, the repro quality here is good enough.
Hell yeah, it's good enough.
If I can make a book that looks like this,
Yeah, you're away.
they're away. So that's what this is. But the journey between here and there, long and arduous, because why? Well, because this is printed by an outfit called Mixam,
Yeah,
who are great. Basically, they're a clearinghouse for,
a broker. Yeah, I've used them for my zines. Yeah,
well, you know, so for their benefit.
yeah,
It is a clearinghouse for printers primarily to keep their print machines, expensive machines, running 24/7. So it means that the cost is low. Generally, the cost is low. But the question is, how do you get well-balanced black and white?
because I was going to say, like, looking at these, right, sometimes with black and white printed this way, like digital print, you can see a hint of other colours coming in. They can have a bit of a cast, you know, a little bit green,
Nearly
a bit red.
always.
But
Nearly
these
always.
don't. And this is amazing. So how do you do it, Mike?
So I spoke to the guy who publishes this,
Yeah,
and he knew an enormous amount, but not everything. So basically, it's all down to cut to the quick here. Cut out 2 months of head banging. The answer is not 42. The answer is that you need to go grayscale, and then have it printed on one of the printers is Canon XI, and the Canon XI will convert the grayscale to CMYK on the press.
nice.
Because if you send a CMYK send a PDF as a CMYK to Mixam, you will get a color cast.
Yeah,
And I developed a relationship with one of the people in Mixam conversationally. I'd never met him, but just endless emails backwards and forwards. And I did several test copies
yeah,
and arrived at this, which is the slightly sharpened images, but the primary thing is grayscale. So only started to do the actual print run just about 10 days ago, when I finally got this copy and thought, okay, now it's good enough. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And the cost per copy through Mixam in this particular iteration is about £8 a copy, and I'm selling it for 12, and so the £4 will cover the cost of the book launch.
yeah, amazing. No, it's great, Mike. It's great.
But the other thing, if we're just talking about this project,
Do you want to? Oh, I've got it here. Oh, sorry, keep going. Sorry, I was going to say, you know, just while I got the book out, do you mind just taking us through a couple of favourites?
No,
It's
okay.
a nice thing to do.
Okay, fine. So the cover is actually Beauty Queens. So there's a Beauty Queen thing that runs through the whole of the Thanet over the summer period. There's always processions, various carnivals that take place in different places, and they will somehow pop up. So it's just kind of a motif in a way. So, and also there's a lot of space, so it's good, works well for the cover. So with the book, there's a mixture of what I call, by the way, I should say that I got in the book are poems by Sarah Tait, and Sarah is a wonderful poet from Thanet and lives in Ramsgate, and she wrote some poems especially for the book, and I'm very, very grateful to her for that. So the book starts with the poems. What I was going to say was, in this book is a mixture of what I call objet trouvé and objet cherché.
Go on, Mike.
So what's an objet trouvé? So you're walking about, and this is an objet trouvé. I'm just walking about, and then the sky is you can feel and the beach is empty, and the sky is threatening, and there's one guy on the beach, and this is midsummer. I think, where are the crowds? The crowds were here a few days ago. You couldn't put your foot on the sand.
No.
But on that day, just one. So that was that's an objet trouvé. as are these.
Because it's just a lucky find, right? Can I
It's
just
a-
guess? An
yes.
objet, what, cherche?
It is something
Is that where you be a bit tactical and you put yourself in the right place to begin with? Like, oh, I want to photograph like a horse fair. Oh, whoops, I'm happened to be in the middle of the horse fair, stuff like that, right?
you basically you know it's really cherche is where you need access.
Right, oh, okay.
So you need access. So you've set it up. You've set up something. So this one actually, even though it looks like a trouvé, was actually a cherche because I contacted the artist who was doing a teaching thing during COVID. She was teaching towards the end of COVID, and she could only do teaching outdoors. So this is in Spencer Square.
Yeah.
So the model was sitting in the tennis court. So that's why it looks kind of incongruous. But I wouldn't have got there unless I'd been with the artist. So
Yeah.
the teacher. Trouvé. I mean, it's in a sense it's perhaps it's a bit prosaic to divide it like that. But this is a penalty shootout. This is outside the Queen's Head in the harbour.
Yeah.
So I knew this was coming up, and
Well, you knew England were going to lose.
I knew England were going to play because they were going to play. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I knew that the pub were likely to put screens up outside. So a few days before, I went to talk to the publican, Jim. You may probably know him. Anyway, I went to talk to him. And he said, fine, no problem. So I got there really early. So I was there before most of the people arrived. But most of the people arrived. So, become part of the wallpaper.
That's a really good trick, by the way. I've done that before, especially in some tasty situations. I always find if you get there early, do you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to school and you're getting bullied, guys, get there early. You don't want to walk into a room full of people, they'll get you. But if you get there with just you and the bully and they've all got to walk in, you'll be all right. True story.
Oh, well, okay. There was lessons learned the hard way.
You learn things, little tricks along the way, yeah.
Absolutely.
But no, great point, because imagine if Mike had just rocked in there, loads of pissheads, and being like, wait, I've got the camera, who's this guy, hey, don't want my phone. Whereas because you're there from the beginning, you become part of the furniture, and they're like, oh, this is the guy, and he's photographing tonight. And then they get hammered, and then you're okay.
And I shot, I think, probably maybe 800 pictures that evening.
Yeah.
Of all the different things going on.
And that's the one.
And that's the one.
Yeah, amazing. Ramsgate Meridian 5.41. That was everyone we moved here. There's the woman doing that. There's people buying. You can buy like a jewellery, giant 5.41 necklace, and they're really into it here. Tell us. Oh, let's not get into that. I'm going to do that now.
Well, Sarah Tait's got a whole story. Sarah has a whole story about. In fact, the last poem
is about the Ramsgate Meridian.
Indirectly, a hymn to an anchor.
Yeah.
The statue in Albion Square is looking out towards the customs house, and this story is about an anchor and the customs house. So just odd little details. This is part of the pluses you get when you focus in on one thing rather than constantly being a butterfly and hopping everywhere.
Also to be somewhere where you build up a base knowledge. Like,
exactly.
You can go somewhere new and it's that whole, this is new, I'm seeing things I don't normally see because it's all new to me. But then that could be surface level. Whereas when you go deep into research, again, you said Philip James Griffiths in the previous video.
Yes.
And, I remember him, I don't know, I think he said it. I might have just made this up and said he said it, but it was something like the more you see, the more you know, the more you know, the more you see. I think he said that. I might be making this. I was a wild student. I might have hallucinated the whole thing. But anyway, I've always attributed that to him, but I think I've got it written all over my website. It might be me. But it's a good point, isn't it? It's like, the more knowledge you have, the more you're going to perceive things that other people might not know if they've just walked in completely blind as a tourist.
Yeah, absolutely. What stories about Philip? I'll tell you those another time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this COVID is a lie thing, it's just this folk festival just finished a few days ago. In fact, it finishes today this year.
What I love about the book, Mike, you've just got consistently great light. It's consistently great light. If we just go back to the beginning, I mean, even this, just the way they're lit from the side here, and that's a very deep blue sky, and it's got this lovely glare. And they literally pop, they stand out. Again here, sort of it's spotlighting. I love it when landscapes get kind of dappled spotlit light. It's happening there. Yeah. When we're on to this one, an amazing kind of soft lit portrait coming through from the side, like dark light behind. Even this, just like perfect exposure. Like it's a bright, crazy sunny day. They could have just all been silhouettes, but no, there's detail in the shadows here. It's great. It's absolutely great.
Thank you.
A lot of these things is like, you know, it's all the joining elements. The amateur is like, I'm going to photograph the tree, I'm going to photograph the dog, I'm going to photograph whatever. And the game especially I played, what I was trained to play, and obviously you like playing too, is where you get lots of things happening together, and that creates tension, drama, narrative, all this mad ballet that's going on.
It's what holds the attention. I mean, in this picture, if she wasn't there,
Yeah, it's nothing.
it wouldn't work.
No.
But because she's sitting there, then the eye keeps going round and round.
Yeah. Framing, you know, we love our framing.
Yeah.
You know, bang right there, and then wouldn't you know? I mean, just that on its own, it's okay. But bang, there's an abandoned trolley. Got this crazy kind of hammer and sickle graffiti. These guys walking past. Again, like emotion.
This was the first haircut after
Yeah.
COVID.
No, it's amazing. You like your wide angles, and you like your weird and wacky angles. I noticed it when there's one coming in the book where the guy's like harvesting, is it kale or cabbage or whatever? And it's such a mad composition. Should we find that one? Where's that? Utterly there. Look at that bonkers stuff. I mean, what are you doing like David Bellamy? Again, I'm old, but I remember David Bellamy. But like, do you know David Bellamy? But anyway, you're like in it. You're like Richard Attenborough at this point. You're so in there. And it's just this bonkers placement where you can see he's almost mid-step. He is kind of moving, and this guy's placed perfectly. It is just a dance. It's absolutely bonkers.
Well, this is at Joss Bay, and this field overlooks the sea, and there's a lighthouse there. So I got to know the farmer briefly, because I bumped into him when he was harvesting in a different field, another part of Thanet. And he told me that, he told me that he was going to be planting, and I said, when is he going to be harvesting? And so he'll be harvesting the cauliflower in February. So it was like 9 months before. So anyway, 9 months later, I'm ringing him and saying, when are you going to harvest? Oh, no, it's not this week, next week. And then suddenly, he's going to harvest. Okay, great. So I get there, and it's a leaden sky, and there's 4 or 5 guys there, a couple of English guys, a couple of Polish, Romanian. And they're harvesting, and then they're harvesting behind a truck that's moving forward this way all the time, and they're cutting cauliflower. And I thought, I'm going to try and get something with a lighthouse and maybe the sea, and go what? It didn't work.
No.
It didn't work. And so the only way to make it work was to lie on the ground. And I've got an R5. It's got a flip-out screen.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So lying on the ground, crawling backwards, covered in mud, but and waiting, trying to get a moment where it works, and finally.
But yeah, it's framing. You see it all the time with frames and doorways and windows, but you framed it there perfectly. But yeah, Mike, it's just an amazing book, and there's so much. So much that you kind of recognise being from Thanet, but there's so much like people across the UK will recognise as well. These are kind of like national stories. They're not just like, oh, this is Thanet. Like, you look at all these things, these elements, these characters. This is up and down the country. Our nations are nations of coastline. So it doesn't matter what part of the coast you're on. This is kind of being played out all around the edge of the country.
It's true. It's true. I mean, and we both know, the changes that have taken place here over the last few years. And the struggles, and the initiatives. Some things fail, some things work. It's been a very challenging time. I think it's a challenging time for all coastal communities, actually. It's another long story.
Amazing, Mike. Amazing.
Just very quickly,
Yeah,
this one.
go.
This one is this is an objet cherché, because I happened to read somewhere that the winter gardens in Margate were closing. It's special. It's a long history. And then I saw an advert for a show that was going to happen there called Shrek, the musical, which is what this one is. So I contacted the Opera Society, and they said, can I come and take pictures of rehearsals? And I said, yes. So I photographed several rehearsals, and this is one of the cat people, having a fag outside. The thing about the stage is it's a very ornate, kind of post-Victorian, Edwardian interior. It's never the case that the stage and the auditorium are lit at the same time, with lots of lighting, but you couldn't get them both lit at the same time.
But they did then, yeah.
So I talked to stage manager and said there was one show coming up, almost our last show, and it's an Elvis impersonator, and he will call someone up from the audience about halfway through the show. So if you're there then,
You'll get it.
You'll get it. So I was there then. I was up here on this side, and I've got it's all set up, and then just as the show was starting, a couple of guys had said, "Hey mate, you're blocking our view." So I ran around and up onto the other opposite gallery, but the reason why the stage manager said go here is because he pulls someone up from the audience. They come up and he croons to them on one knee when they're sitting in the chair there. So if I'd been up here, I would have got.
Yeah, but that wasn't the shot you wanted anyway. He was making assumptions about what you wanted. You wanted the wide shot.
I wanted the wide shot, but I would also.
You'd have liked a bit of it, yeah.
It still is good. I'm happy with it. Yeah. I'm happy with it. Anyway, it's a longer story than is necessary.
Amazing.
But it's anyway, it works. It works, and that's kind of like satisfying. This one is in the sea at 5 a.m. at the beginning of August.
Yeah.
And
this is bonkers as well. Next door, this is something out like some folk horror film. I don't know what's going on here. It's absolutely
this is
surreal.
In Minster.
Yeah.
They were replacing they repainted the clock.
Right.
And I happened
it's like the clock's fallen down, or it's not.
This is they just done a ceremony to replace the clock face, and that's up the top, and that's why she's looking at. But actually, I found this more interesting.
Yeah.
So, and that was also, several visits and photographing the taking down and the installation and the whole thing. Anyway, it's just also get to know people, and that's rewarding in itself.
It's an amazing book, Mike. And again, remind me, so £12, which seems utterly bonkers. I feel like I might have to dub £12 out and say a bigger amount. It's available for £20. And what I'll do, Mike, is I'll put a link in the text for this video. So if you guys at home want to pick up a copy, you can click a link. I mean, I'm assuming there will be a link somewhere to buy online.
Yeah, there will be. It's 12 quid at the opening. I mean, there'll be postage and packing on top if you get it by post.
Yeah, or if he decides to put the price up, which I really think you should, Mike. I think you should.
Well, I think if we do a reprint, might do a hardback, and then
Yeah.
there'll be a few more quid. Just lastly.
Oh yeah, I've seen this down here. It's great.
So this is the exhibition that's going with the book launch. So it's a 37 panel show.
Yeah.
So these are
Dye bond. Is it dye bond?
you got it in one.
Yeah, but with curved edges. Controversial. Is that so you don't ding them? Is it clever
so
to
you
make them?
so it's not too sharp.
Yeah.
So this is actually a Duff one because it's got a slight scratch. So they reprinted it for me. But I got these printed at a place called Graphical Tree.
Yeah.
And they're both in central London and also in Uxbridge. So the criteria for producing these is completely different from the criteria of producing this. So the image files that went to the Graphical Tree are not the same image files that went here.
Yeah, RGB, CMYK.
CMYK, grayscale, CMYK. This is CMYK.
Oh, it's still CMYK printing with them, right?
CMYK,
Oh, okay.
but not only that. If you'd send the file, my initial test was a file similar to this, came out so dark. So lifted it by 15% in curves, and it was got it. So all of them are like that. So this is, and I've never seen an exhibition done like this. So it's just,
well, it's like an evolution of what you said about printing on card, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? This is like another step.
Printing on, I was thinking about doing this show as a laminated show.
Yeah.
And I
mean, maybe people can serve drinks, have canapes.
They could. Quite.
There you go.
No,
Yeah.
it does look a bit like a placemat, it's true. But I also got a big one to go in the window.
Yeah, amazing.
A1.
That's great. And what day's the launch again?
It's a Wednesday the 21st of August.
At Sugar Rush.
At Sugar
which
Rush.
is in the High Street in Ramsgate. I don't know. I will rush to try and get this episode out beforehand.
Great.
Wonderful. Well, cheers, Mike. Thank you. See you soon.
Lovely talking to you.